This is Lair Media. To whom it concerns, welcome to the panel. Good evening, everybody. Welcome along to this edition of the panel on Thursday, the 10th of July. And we're really having, Mediterranean weather. Lebanese-like weather, is it?
It is indeed.
And it's great to see it. Good evening, Guy, and welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody.
Good evening, Morgan, and good evening, Tony, and welcome, lads. And Morgan is from Kansas City, studying here in Ireland at the moment, and you know Tony Browne. Guy Jones is chairman of the Irish Lebanese Cultural Foundation. And for people who may not know, there's a very, very long connection between Lebanon and Ireland, mainly through the UNIFIL peacekeeping force that we have out there. Over 70 years now, right? Is it over 70 years? I think Ireland since
69 since 1958. Yes.
Yeah, my goodness me, 1958.
Say marhaban.
Exactly.
So Guy and the Lebanese Foundation have an award ceremony every year called the Cedar Awards. Of course, the Cedar is synonymous with Lebanon, as we know, you know. So he does that. Guy, before we start, if you don't mind putting in, how long are you in Ireland?
Interior.
Can you hear me?
No, I lost the voice.
Oh, yeah, sorry. How long are you in Ireland?
Since 1999, so that's about now 26 years.
Oh, you're an Irishman, so that's
very much so. Yes. Very much.
And Guy lives down in Kilkenny, the Marble City, as I say. So
they just had the hurling here in Dublin.
Huh?
Kilkenny was just playing here in Dublin for hurling.
I know, and
this week, wasn't
it? I was above in Dublin at the Saturday match between Cork and Dublin, you know, great time. But anyway, Shinshke, I suppose we just start off with something that's current. In Dáil is our parliament. That's what it's described. Dáil, for people who are looking who may not be familiar with, means our Irish parliament. There was contributions on the floor the last couple of days about the cost of living crisis. Of course, that's not new to Ireland. It's prevalent everywhere. But a few TDs described Dunnes Stores and Tesco's as cowboys and described them as ripping people off with their club card and their vouchers, forcing people to buy stuff they don't need in order to qualify to get €5 off the next €50 worth of purchase. But we all know gimmicks like that are not new to the grocery trade. Gimmicks like that, remember going back to the Green Shield stamps, Tony, do you remember that?
I do.
And saving stamps to buy groceries. So I think they mean well, but nevertheless, value for money today is very, very difficult to find out, you know. And the cost of living crisis is very, very. We're an island nation, so and we have the weather to grow our own produce, but we don't grow enough of it. So hence we rely an awful lot on imports, particularly with vegetables and foodstuffs and all. I mean, I bought carrots the other day, and they were from the Netherlands. I mean, we used to grow our own carrots when I lived out in the country, you know, but now they're importing them from the Netherlands. There's nothing wrong with that, but I'm just saying we could do a lot more to bring down the prices. How do you find the prices, Tony, of food stuff?
No, I don't buy much. Since my wife buying the groceries, I would never do. You know.
And what does she say about the prices?
She's always complaining anyway about prices. You know, it kind of goes over my head. But what can you do? There's nothing you can do. Prices will go up all the time. They're constantly going up. And all the supermarkets, I see where Lidl, have introduced a point system now as well. You can get so many points on I don't know what, I say it's on your phone anyway. But so they're all at that. They all want Tesco always, and every little bit helps. They're all at that game. We'll never stop that. That's only matters.
Anyway, they were mainly what they were discussing in the hall was that the big multiple supermarket chains like Lidl, Aldi, Dunn Stores, and Tesco's would be forced under the Competitions Act to publish their end of year sales or end of year profits figures for the general public to look at, and I think that would be a good thing. We all know it.
It'll never
Well,
happen.
hopefully, I don't know. It might. I don't know. I think it would be a good thing myself.
Yeah, but it's up to people themselves if they want if they want to go around and shop around and see prices. That's up to yourself. A lot of times, some of the prices vary all right in some places, and then it depends on what quantity. You can get something cheap tomorrow, and there mightn't be the same volume in it, the same amount in it. You'd have to look at how many grams are in it. I mean, you could be doing that till the cows come home. Cheese, for example. Lidl don't sell any what I call Irish cheese. They're selling cheese, a thing called Ratfy, made in Ireland. It's made with milk imported from the 6 counties. It says it on the back. People buy that as being solely Irish, which to me, that's not Irish.
Well, yeah, there are branding issues and a lot of foods as well. Cheese, I'm going to say I'm a partial to cheese. I'm a cheese lover myself. They do have a good range of cheese.
They do, but then why should you buy foreign cheese? To me, you can't beat Irish cheese, the best in the world. Irish cheese. I only buy Irish cheese, and from the what I call the well-known brands like Kerry Foods, who owns most of them anyway, and that's all. I wouldn't buy. But I've never tasted some of the foreign cheeses anyway. I wouldn't like them. Even to look at them was enough for me. No, I wouldn't. French cheese and all that. No. I'd stick with Irish cheese, solid cheese. Not those easy singles. They're like plastic. You put them on the sole of your shoe and they last for about 3 months. Those plastic cheese.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
Processed.
Do you like cheese, Morgan?
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. And do you like the hard cheeses, cheddar, or the soft?
I like a mix of both. So some of
Yeah.
the hard cheese, yeah, like a Reno Romano and Parmesan, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I will eat, Tony. I will eat French cheese.
You are? What you said? You are?
I will eat French cheese. I might disagree.
I wouldn't like it anyway, apart from
Camembert.
I do buy Irish cheese, but I think there's nothing like I worked for a company one time that I would sell cheeses to the supermarkets for them, and I got partial to Red Leicester, and it's a beautiful cheddar cheese. It's a brilliant British cheese, but it's beautiful.
But it's very expensive cheese. It's very, very pricey.
Cheese, since I was selling it, it's absolutely quadrupled in price, I must say. Quadrupled in price. I don't really know. There isn't any one cause of things. People will say across the board that it's the running costs. The running costs of business don't ever come down. They always go up. We know that. Up. Even in the best of times, they still go up. There's a friend of mine now coming down to me in the morning. The insurance is up in his car, and the cheapest quotation he got, it's himself. He's driving the car himself, and he owns it. There's no one else going to be driving it. And the cheapest insurance quotation he got for it is €1,200. It's a 1.2 litre. And he's gone around. Even a friend of mine now who I did with all the time back in Mallow and Cork, and they're pretty good. Even they couldn't quote him anything cheaper, and he's just flummoxed. That last year he paid €480 for insurance. This year he can't get it below 1,200. I mean, that's an absolute scandalous price. Things like that. These effective. And then on the other side of the coin, they're complaining about the car. They anoint it so that people are driving without insurance on their car. I'm not saying people should drive without insurance. Of course, we know legally you can't do that. But you can understand why they do it. I'm not condoning. You can understand why people are forced to do it. Can't afford to pay it. You know what are you supposed to do? I don't know, but I don't know how you find the cost of living yourself. You know, it's it's a worrying trend, and it's not going to get better because, as we said, prices don't come down; they go up.
Oh, I mean, there are several items I just don't even buy anymore. I mean, well, eggs. I mean, I rarely ever get eggs, and some, my favorite meats I don't buy anymore because they're just too expensive.
Well, I see now in Limerick, in one of the restaurants in Limerick, that a steak is €47.50 if you want to go out to and dine it, and that does not include the veg with it. The veg are extra with it. 47.50 just for the steak. I mean that is
But,
really.
but I think actually now, I think eggs are underpriced really for what they are. For the value that's in eggs, they haven't gone up for years really. You get a half dozen eggs for around under €3, and like which one since is great value when you work it out.
Yeah,
They,
they're
they are
around.
cheaper here. Well, they are cheaper here than in the U.S.
Oh
That's for
yeah,
sure.
Yeah,
although there's eggs coming in. My wife bought eggs last week in Tesco. And to the name alerted me to the eggs when I saw Glenshane eggs. I said to myself, Glenshane is in County Tyrone. You know, the Glenshane Pass. So I got up the
yeah,
captain and I looked at it. And true enough, they were from the six counties.
yeah.
So they're actually, to me, they're English eggs.
Well,
Tesco's. With,
the eggs work out about 40 to 60 pence each here in Ireland. That's roughly the going rate for eggs. I know you can't buy one egg, but that's what they are, the unit price of them, you know.
anyway, but like that. But getting back to insurance, I'm looking for insurance at the moment. And I was quoted 2 weeks ago on my new insurance cert. I paid last year. I think I paid about 850. I think this year they were looking for 920,
Why?
and I've got. They wouldn't tell me. They couldn't tell me. They said costs have gone up. Then I got it. I was weary from going online looking for prices, and I got it down to 850. I got it down to 800 and something. I got down to 800. I got it down to 790. I got it down to 780, 750, 720, 720, 700, 680, 650, 660 at the moment. And funnily enough, that's with the same company that I was with originally. And how can a broker do that? I do not know. And a company in Galway quoted me 600 and whom I don't even know, 650, 650, I think. Anyway, it's around 660. Now, do I stay with a local broker in Limerick, whom I know, or do I go
Will they
send out
match it?
Galway?
Well, will they match it? So if you can quote a different company, will yours match it,
But,
or
but,
or
it,
they're
but
saying
they're all
theirs is going
coming
to go up?
down. When you tell them how much you quoted, they want to know, they'll come down about €10 below that price. But I can't. And then there's people tell me they're getting insurance for 400. I
Well, we,
can't see.
we, we, we we got insurance on Mary's car now for the same price as we did last year. Didn't go up through a broker in Mallow where I grew up. I know them personally. I'm not saying that that's the reason why. It was the same price as last year, €420.
It depends on what you're looking for, you know. I mean, I a comprehensive insurance I wanted, everything paid for. I
Yeah.
have a full license. The car was only worth about 6,000. And I don't know what else. And still, that amount of money, I can't understand it. I really
The
can't.
the program is the panel, and all the information is on the screen there with your email and the phone number. And all I have to do on this every Thursday night is just sit behind the microphone, but all the graphics and all the clips and all the additional extra work is done by Mary Holland behind the scenes to make me look good. I know I'm only joking, to make the program look visually okay for us. And I tell you, it's painstaking work. I can tell you that. So any clips we do, any of the clips I put up, it's only a press of a button. But that's not down to me. That's down to her. She got everything done. But there's a story here in the local paper this week. I just want to read it out, see what you think of it. The manager of a family store in Limerick city centre admits he's giving serious consideration to its future. It's a big shop. A Limerick city centre retailer was rushed to hospital after a woman bit him multiple times. Bit him, yes, you heard it right, bit him and spat in his face before claiming she was HIV positive. Sian Gleeson, who only got engaged at the weekend, said he is rattled following the incident in his family's spa shop on Cattle Street. Now he says he is seriously considering the store's future in the city centre. She bit me 3 times. I was lucky enough she didn't break my skin, but then she also spat in my face and some of it went into my mouth. That's when I had no choice but to get a blood test, Mr. Gleeson explained to Limerick Live this Thursday. Ambulance and the Gardaí arrived, etc. Gardaí arrested the woman, aged in her 40s. She was taken to the Garda station and then she was released. Now, obviously, the way it works here is it's up to the person injured to press charges and bring it to court, which is more trauma as well. It's a silly system. Mr. Gleeson, I know the man as well, who was manager of the outlet, said the woman in question is known to staff, having previously been banned from the shop. Well, that's not a nice thing to happen to anybody, you know, to bite somebody. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. There's no more details given as to the state the woman was in, as to what she was like, you know. Anyway, Tony, just before he was into it, she was arrested, the woman in her 40s, and taken to the Garda station, and she was released afterwards. But it's down then to the shopkeeper to press charges, isn't it?
Who was this? This that bit there. What was that? Where Paul went. Start again.
Gleason's shop in Catherine Street. He was bitten by a woman and spat at, and he had to be taken to hospital for a blood test, HIV test. And the guards came and arrested her. But she was previously barred out of the shop. But I think that myself, is that symptomatic of the times that we're in now, you know? I don't know. You know?
But is it where the shop is in the prominent in the centre? You see, that's the problem. Where that shop is, and is it that he's big passing trade there? Don't forget, he's a couple of shops.
Yes.
And that he's always at hassles. They should do something about the people going into the shop. There should be somewhere of screening people going in the gate, in the door. There have to be. Other than that, because there's nothing you can do. The laws aren't there. People can do what they like. He's lucky he's getting away with that much. In one sense. Anyway.
Who would be a shopkeeper?
Oh yeah, but he's about 4 shops as far as I know.
Yes,
1, 2, 3. He definitely is 4. He hasn't 5. And surely he can. He's going to be going from one to the other. Now, how he was there himself now? Probably unlucky that he was there. But he was only once bitten anyway, twice shy. You know, he was only bitten once.
Now, another story in the paper is a section of the main street of Limerick City has been cordoned off following the discovery of a rat infestation. The mischief of rodents was spotted in a plant bed in O'Connell Street near Bedford Road. One local business manager shared photos this Wednesday, just after 5, of the rats scurrying around on the bench seat surrounding the plant box. I couldn't believe my eyes, there were so many of them, said one passerby who contacted Limerick Live on Thursday to highlight their concerns. But I mean, there are as many rats as there are human beings on the planet, if not more. So the fact that we don't see them does not mean that they're not there, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And
especially at night. That's when they come out at night.
Yeah. I mean, and you walk around any town or village around the country, and the main reason that there's rats hanging around is because of our behaviour, our bad behaviour of not cleaning up after us, or
Yeah.
putting rubbish out, or what. That's why they're there. If there's
True.
no food, they wouldn't be there if there was no food for them, you know. But I don't know what the answer to that is, other than
You
But
know, the
in
takeaways, the food, the amount of food that's on the street is unreal. Sure.
yeah,
From takeaways, just thrown about in the street,
you
and
know
there's a lot of
having
takeaways. You know,
having said that, and having also a look at most towns, most cities in Ireland, High Street is at risk. Versus the big shops, the big mega stores, etc.
yeah,
So we have every interest to actually, I think everyone who is in responsibility in any county council or member of the council, they should do what their utmost to keep the high street alive, be it insecurity, which you mentioned with regard
yeah,
to the first incident down and on in Limerick, and then the second one is actually the cleanliness, and definitely do something about the rodents going around. So there is High Street is extremely important, and it's the life center of every town and every city. So I think
yeah.
the council members should be focusing on this rather than giving licenses to the large stores um, left, right, and center.
well,
So
I can definitely say there, out of the 40, don't forget there are 40 councillors in Limerick. And out of the 40, I would definitely say there's about 25 of them have never been down O'Connell Street in Limerick. They never frequented anywhere. They wouldn't be there. And they
yeah,
don't know what's going on.
they're
Uh,
from the county, is it?
they what?
They're from the county.
Well, from the Caribbean City first, they wouldn't be found. I'm really going to say they wouldn't be found dead, but they wouldn't be found on O'Connell Street or downtown. You never see them around the street.
Mhm, mhm.
Only the odd one or two you might see, but they're not interested really. But the cleanliness, there should be more from the environmental department. You're really flogging a dead horse for them. They're not interested really. Nobody talks about it. You never hear a councillor talking about it, about the streets. They might, it will all hearsay. They might talk about something happening at night, but you'll never see them around the streets at night. They're all probably in entertaining their local constituents and that at night. No, not
I,
interested.
I do it, but it is a problem, and it's a constant problem of litter and dirt. You know,
Well,
I think
terrible.
I can. Sometimes I'm not saying I'm the best in the world. I cannot get over it. We were in Dublin last Saturday week for the hurling match, Mary and myself, and we walked from Burke Key up to Croke Park. You
Mhm.
know, that's not a very, very long journey. We went right through the city centre on a Saturday, and I must say it was absolutely filthy. Filthy,
Mm.
the only word. Absolutely filthy altogether. No, I never saw it as bad. Now, I know there was 80,000 people at the match, but they weren't there at that time, you know. I could expect it to be like that after the game, you know, when they all come out together, when everybody comes out together. But and if you're going to Croke Park, don't go into Croke Park hungry. The food you get in there is inedible. Inedible. So don't go to Croke Park hungry. Bring your own sandwich or bring your own roll.
But that causes rats as well. Then you see people bringing food and
Yeah.
letting half it fall out and
Well,
onto the,
I brought back my rubbish in my backpack. And
yeah, that causes rats. People not finishing off what they have,
yeah.
especially in the open and that.
Well,
And
there's a lot of waste. That's true. There's an awful lot of waste as well. You know, an awful lot
they
of
shouldn't
waste.
be allowed to even bring in food to some of these matches if I'd my way. I'd stop all that, I would. It
Now,
shouldn't be.
there's also concern as well in a lot of the media about the women's. There's only two women's prisons in Ireland, Dorcas, and there's a women's prison here in Limerick as well, and they're both running at 150% capacity. In other words, we know what that means. 100% is full. 150% is 1.5 times full, which means there are prisoners sleeping on the floor. I don't care what people may have about people in prison, but I don't think in 2025 any human being should be sleeping on the floor. We really should not. There's a basic dignity, basic human dignity to be afforded to everybody. We can all fall by the wayside. We can all, um, I won't say commit a crime, but there are circumstances and everything like that goes with it. And I don't think having people sleeping on the floor and having 8 people in a cell instead of 4 is not healthy. Not healthy. After all, one of the functions, as you know, of prison supposedly is what's the word they use? Re-
Rehabilitation.
Yeah,
Rehabilitation. That lovely word,
exactly.
rehabilitation. I mean, really, how can you have rehabilitation when 8 people
You're
are
sleeping on the floor.
sleeping
Yeah.
in a cell instead of 4 people? Look at how small the people are.
Yeah.
Also, there's another wider issue then as well. There's the whole issue of your mental health. I mean, it's astonishing. There's mental health today still is not given the priority that it should be. That surely has a dreadful effect on the person. I mean, I know one very young lad who, if he is looked after, he's in and out of prison in Limerick. The potential of him, in my opinion, is fantastic. But the services that's required to look after people like him are not on the ground. The last time he got out of prison, I met him above just by look at the railway station in Limerick. What he had in his hand was a free bus pass, and he got out of prison. No phone numbers of anybody or any service, just a bus ticket to go where he wanted to go. You know, and this is a young lad in his 20s. You know, I mean, I got to know him, and all I could do was speak to him and talk to him. He came out to, he has a friend out in Shannon that he phoned, and hence he came out on the bus with me. But I mean, I was just, I've never forgotten that journey because, and I often wonder what happened to that man and hundreds like him who were put out in the street. Good luck now, your sentence is up and off you go. I don't know, guys, you ever come across cases like that? I'm just for his health and well being. Do we care anymore about each other? Do we care anymore?
You know.
Or are we overburdened with our own lives as well? I don't know really.
What was he in prison for? What was he in jail for?
Possession of drugs.
Yeah, but you see, no possession of drugs. See that?
Possession of drugs.
Yeah,
There's, he wasn't dealing drugs; he was in possession of it, and that was probably what he had to kill the pain of depression, the pain of being discarded, the pain. I'm not making an excuse for the man, but I'm saying the circumstances of it. There should be more understanding. I mean, he's out again. He'd be in prison. He'd be in front of the same judge again in a couple of months' time, and all they'll do is put him into prison again. I mean,
so
oh dear me.
they
Yeah.
don't
It's
follow,
one of
they
the,
don't, they don't follow up anything anyway.
Yeah,
The judges don't care. I never heard of a judge going to a jail to examine anything. Nah, they're too busy in their own lives, unfortunately.
well, and I mean, if he had a drug issue, it's instead of getting a drug rehab, it's sending the person to prison for a non-violent offense, and you often go in and come out worse than you did before you went in, something like that.
absolutely. You're
Yeah.
dead right about that.
That's true.
What's it like down in Kilkenny, guy, to see a doctor? There's a huge shortage of doctors around the country.
Seeing a doctor is like a mission impossible, particularly if you were to enlist in one of the GP practices, right? And you have many of them around in the city of Kilkenny.
Yeah,
They're overcrowded. There aren't enough availabilities, and nevertheless, if you were to ask for an appointment, you would be very lucky to have one. So yeah, the situation is scarce, and I don't know how to solve it, because you know that we are often outsourcing and trying to bring doctors from around the world to come and,
Yeah,
you know.
and there's many of them. There's many of them in Ireland. You know, many of them in Ireland. Yeah.
Now, the issue with this is standards. You are not expecting to have the exact same standards, um, and um, and some of the doctors have not been duly not vetted, but duly checked for their credentials before being hired. Then we discover down the line, a few years down the line, malpractices and issues with patients, etc. Then it hits the news and everybody knows about it.
Instead of being a doctor, he was a butcher back in Kansas. He's a doctor now in Ireland.
There was a doctor in Croom a few years ago, and he was doing operations, and it turned out he wasn't a doctor at all. And he performed a few operations out in Croom, which is an orthopedic hospital. But nobody complained on what he did. So he must have been good at his job, and he wasn't a doctor at all. And that's
Wow.
about 10, 15 years ago, I remember.
But
And
you're right, Guy, about the lack of GPs availability, because it compounds the problem in hospitals. So if you're not feeling well and you can't see a doctor, what do? You go into the A&E in your local hospital, which is already overburdened. So it's compounding the issue, the problem again, and you're in there for hours and then looking at the ceiling. So it's a vicious circle. So we haven't enough doctors, we haven't enough uh, uh, spaces for prisoners. Although I contend we have plenty of room. We're doing the lazy thing in our legal system. Put them into prison. I mean that doesn't solve the problem for people at all.
No.
But I mean, I sat at the court one day and in Ennis. I was up I was up there myself for a speeding thing, but it was thrown out anyway. But whilst I was there, almost every case that came up before my name was called, they were either in possession of a bit of cannabis, and they were criminalizing people for what I would, in my mind, which was silly things that could have been handled at the first contact with the police. It could have been handled better. He or she should be taken away into a room and sit down and find out where did you get it, why have you it, and all of that. Instead of going through the court system with solicitors and everything, and that man or woman then has a criminal record for what? And that, as you said, Morgan, they go into prison innocent, and they come out
Oh
with
yeah.
far more better equipped to become a criminal when they come
Yep.
out. Which I,
And
really,
can't get a job at that point now, because now you have a
yeah,
criminal record for
yeah, yeah.
something, as you said, is silly. It's just
Yeah.
I mean,
you feel like your life is over, and now you're happy, or much more willing to resort to crime.
and what's more than that is you won't be able to travel because a lot of countries won't take you in if you have a criminal record. You won't be able to get a visa to go to America, for instance. They wouldn't let you in. I mean, since that's another story, I suppose. But really, it's a tough one to handle. There are so many. I mean, I don't want to turn the program into doom and gloom, but there are issues that need to be discussed, serious issues in society, and they're not getting the attention that they require. You know,
so
I
that's
mean, I
um,
must say, Guy participated the last 2 years. We ran a mental health one-day conference the last 2 years, and Shannon and Guy participated in it. And it's only, I mean, so many people have come to us before and after, since even it happened in March. Really and truly, even a simple thing in here, like a drop-in centre, fully staffed 24 hours a day. Just one in Shannon, where there's 15,000 people living. Can't even get funding for that. Can't even be prioritised as a basic tool in the community, which I find absolutely astonishing. Absolutely astonishing. Why they can't have something like that, I don't know.
So, Guy, why did you pick Kilkenny to live?
Even before I moved to Ireland, we always spent a day in Kilkenny, enjoying it. It's a medieval city after all. And then I love these little streets, narrow streets, and there's lots of it. It's loaded with history anyway. Then one of my discoveries was that in 1700 there was a bishop in Kilkenny called Bishop Richard Pocock. He traveled to Lebanon in 1700 and wrote a wonderful book about his experience in the Levant, with a few pages mentioned about Lebanon and his tour in Lebanon. I did a study on that, and I actually spoke about it in many lectures that I gave, and it was an amazing finding because Bishop Pocock brought with him cedar trees that he planted around in Ireland. And most of the cedar trees, which are 200 years old, 230 years old, they are seeds coming from Lebanon through Bishop Pocock.
Oh, that's a fantastic story.
So that's a fantastic thing. It's a phenomenon.
Yeah,
So
Was he on his way to the Holy Land, I wonder, was he?
he was in the Holy Land. He was in Egypt. So he wrote 3 volumes. One of them was dedicated to Egypt. He was mad about Egypt. And the other one was the Holy Land and other countries, he called it. So it's a nice book to read, and it's still available in its original format. I found those 3 volumes actually on sale on eBay, etc. So they do exist. And it seems that the library, the Church of Lismore down in Waterford. There were books just thrown like this, and then somebody came up with the idea of doing the Luke Wedding library at Waterford University, Waterford Institute of Technology. So they brought these books and removed the dust and all of that, and they discovered that they had very valuable books, such as the original books of Richard Pocock.
Yeah. Well, I heard of it. Yeah, and Luke Wadding I know about as well. Father Luke Wadding, I know. I could talk about him now for a half hour. But
he was, I think, the Franciscans, historian and librarian. Librarian.
There's a lot written on. There's more written on Luke Wadding now. I know about.
Is there many Pococks around Kilkenny today? The family name?
No. Actually, he originally came from UK, from England, but since his uncle was the Archbishop in Lismore, he got this amazing appointment. And if you know, and I know that very well, Tony, you might actually vouch for me here. It's that every family, aristocratic family, always had a son in the army and another one in the clergy. These people did absolutely nothing except being there and getting the titles and the honors.
Yeah, they were able to buy the seas for them because there was good money coming in because the Catholics had to pay for the Protestants. But then that actually applied in Ireland, would you believe?
Yeah.
Up to the 1980s, if you meet if there were 4 sons, for example, they couldn't inherit the property, the farm, especially if they were farmers. So the eldest son was inherited the farm. The next son became a priest. The next son became a guard, and the last son became a school
teacher. Yeah.
Guys today, people over the years, and that have proven me right. If you ask the local cop, has he a brother priest? He probably has. And the other
I never told that, but that's good because
guards in Ireland come from County Roscommon. People think County Kerry. Roscommon is the highest ratio, always had the highest ratio of guards in Ireland. But that was the system. And they also came with the daughters. The eldest daughter became a nun, if possible. And then after that, they tried to marry them off if they could. Sometimes they were successful, more times they weren't,
Yeah.
But Kilkenny was a very powerful city. It's the only city in Ireland that people don't realise is a city. When they name all the cities. There are only 5, 6. and people usually say Sligo or somewhere else, but people forget about Kilkenny
Correct.
because there was a family called Butler, who were the Dukes of Ormond,
Yeah.
and they controlled most of the Southern Ireland anyway.
Yeah, they did.
Right.
So you have Kilkenny City, Waterford City, Cork City, Limerick City, Dublin City, and Galway City.
Okay.
Did they all have a cathedral?
Well, cathedrals have nothing got to do with the dominance of a city.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
different altogether. No, I don't. Is the Kil? No, I don't think there's a Catholic cathedral in Kilkenny. Is there? I don't think so.
There is.
Canice's
There is
right.
St. Mary's. St. Mary's.
St. Mary's. No, there is. I forgot about that. Well, you have St. Canice's belong to the Church of
And
Ireland.
St. Canice's. Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know that. And
Of course, one of the fantastic features in Kilkenny, amongst many, is the castle. Of course,
Kilkenny
Castle. Yeah, fabulous.
It wasn't that elaborate, really, considering the money that they had. But they spent most of the time in England anyway. The last Marquis, he died. He lived in Chicago. The last guy who gave over the castle to the state.
To the state.
He lived in. There used to be a duke. There was a duke of Ormond, but he fell foul of one of the kings, and they down to a Marquis.
Yeah.
In levels, you become a Marquis before you become a duke.
Yeah.
He was demoted, was he?
Well, one of them was. There were some players by, I tell you, the Ormonds. They were very cute. They were. Morgan, we're leaving you out of this. Have you been to Kilkenny?
I have not. No.
Well, I'm inviting you to come to Kilkenny, Morgan.
I heard of Kilkenny Castle. I've never been there though.
Yes,
You'll have to take a trip down from Dublin, go down the train or the bus down to Kilkenny for the day out. To be an absolute wonderful day out.
Nice. At least they wouldn't allow Dunn Stores put up their big ugly sign now one time as Dunn Stores. They made put a small sign. It was vulgar, the big signs they were putting up, and they wouldn't allow it. They've kept most of the buildings intact. Roth House, and I used to have to go to Roth House, Guy, every 6 weeks. I had to go there a few years ago. I was on a historical committee. I used to go to Roth House every 6 weeks for about for nearly 3 years.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people involved in history in Kilkenny.
Yeah.
They have a good historical society there.
Yeah, I was actually called once, and I can't remember now how many years ago it was, to talk about the start of the Civil War in Lebanon.
Yeah.
So the Civil War started in 1975, but it had deep roots from coming back from the late 60s into early 70s.
Oh yeah.
And I spoke about this at that time as well. There are many historical, and that's the reason why I went back to the records of the Historical Society in Kilkenny to dig out stories about Richard Pocock, because there is very little written about him other than what he wrote about his journeys and his travels.
Yeah.
He's mentioned at different times. You'll often come across, depends on what you're reading. But there's very little written. But as we said earlier on, about the Ormonds and the Butler family. And the original Butler was a butler, that came to Ireland. That's where they got the title from. He was a butler. Was it King John or was it Richard? He was his butler from England. And then they were accused. They knew what side to play on. They ended up with an awful lot of land, because it's an area called Ormond, which we forgot about. In Limerick now we have Thomond. That's Ormond. And it goes up as far as Nina, the barony of Ormond.
Yeah.
Of course, we have Desmond and different months around. Anyway.
Morgan, you may not know that, but I was involved. I am still involved in martial arts. So I took actually an interest in a person that actually built the castle in Kilkenny, which is William the Marshal.
Oh, we all know William Marshal. William Marshal was some Tudor, I tell you. He became too powerful as well, of course.
An amazing.
There's an amazing of a night out in a village called Hospital in County Limerick. And some people say it's Marshall. It's a huge statue, and of him. And people say it's William Marshall, but it can't be proven whether it's him or not.
Yeah.
It's funny, he has survived outside the village of Hospital, of Marshall. But the Marshalls, they went down a bit then. They had land out in County Limerick in a place called Doon. We turned this into a history program here.
No mind.
No,
No mind.
this is the beauty of this place. It's rich. It's rich in history, and then I discovered as well that he has served in the Holy Land, William the Marshal, and he had built so many towns around the southeast of Ireland, and you could tell the spirit of the buildings which have been left back in Ireland. They do have that Crusaders cachet that you would find similar in Lebanon.
Oh,
I was at a talk a few years ago by a guy called, I think it was Morey. He was over lecturing in Trinity in Dublin, and he gave a talk called "The Castles of the Crusades," right across the Middle East. Oh, it was very interesting, and the castles that were built by the Crusaders, you know, and I can say it's a pity they didn't win with, what's his name, the fella that came down from the top that defended the Holy Land for the Muslims. What's his name?
Saladin.
Saladin.
Saracen, is it?
Saladin.
It's a pity they didn't win. You know, we'd be better off. Anyway,
Well,
they weren't used to the temperature anyway. When all these Crusaders went out, they weren't used to fighting in the heat of the sun, really, I suppose.
No.
The best part is when they finished the first crusade, they came back to Europe. They didn't stay. Most of them did not stay. Yeah, and then no king in Europe wanted them. They were hardened. They were fighters, knights, and you name it. They were afraid of them. They pushed them all the way to come to Ireland. So this is why they came into the southeast, and the Anglo-Normans settled down in Ireland, and they made lots of connections with the kings, ruling kings in Ireland. And
they intermarried, of course, as well.
Absolutely.
But then you had the various knights that went out. You had different branches of knights. You had the Knights Hospitallers, and you had the titular knights, and you had there's 4 different branches. They became too powerful as well.
The Knights Templar.
Relative to join, to get involved, and
that's right.
They were accused of having satanic practices and a few other things. So they had to be outdone altogether. I was in France, down the south of France, a few years ago, to some of the places that the knights had. You know, some of the castles, some of the rectories that they had in the south of France a few years ago on another trip. But the knights are very interesting to read about. The Knights of Malta, really. Well, they were the Knights of Rhodes, and then they became the Knights of Malta. But they were very powerful, you know. But
there's also a story talking about the south of France that Mary, the mother of Jesus, moved eventually to the south of France.
Yeah.
You know? There's that story as well, you know. And people don't talk about it much now, you know, but I was fascinated by it. Talk I went to one time.
Do you know the place? The place called Sainte Marie de la Mer, which is in the Camargue region in France, and the Sainte Marie is a place where gypsies from all around Europe, they come over in the month of May, to celebrate Mary.
Yeah.
And it is amazing. It's a musical. It's folkloric. It's you name it.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that I would love to go and experience. It's
next May we go for a trip there.
I would love to.
They're kind of those gypsies that that's what you call something La Mer, that they were involved with a group called the Catars. Have you heard of the Catars?
Yes, I know the Catars.
They're down in. They live down in what's that region of France in the south that English people go to live. I can't think of the area. That's very common. Anyway, but the Catars were there. And have you ever heard of them, Morgan, the Catars?
No, I haven't.
They were a group that became too powerful, really, for the church.
Correct, yeah, and they were fought.
Yeah, they were all massacred down the south of France.
Correct,
and,
exactly, yeah.
I was there on a building on a mountainside where they were all pushed off all the guitars. They had
That's
to
right.
finish them. And they built a big church then in a place called Albert, a city in the south of France. They built some beautiful cathedrals built there now of red brick in Albert. Yeah, because in the we're digressing here, in the museum at Albert, they have all the paintings belong to a man called, have you ever heard of a man called Toulouse-Lautrec? He was an artist who lived in Paris. He suffered from brittle disease. He had small little legs, and he was he did all these portraits of what was the big club in Paris, Le Moulin d'Or. He used to spend his nights in Le Moulin d'Or. And you all know these big sketches now you often see of Le Moulin d'Or. He did all these.
With the bright are they the ones with the very bright colours?
Well, but he painted all these Toulouse.
I've seen them there. Yeah, I've seen them. Yeah.
He became foul of the bishop in Paris, and they wouldn't accept all his paintings when he died. But they're all in Albert. They're all I saw them in the museum in Albert. Hundreds of paintings at Toulouse.
It reminds me of the Gypsy Kings come from Sainte Marie de la Mer. They're French. They're not Spanish.
Yeah.
So, and this is one of the things that they're all kind of guitarists and they're all wonderful singers and dancers and you name it. So this is a very interesting place to visit anyway.
We have a lot of them here, but they don't dance much.
No. So you had the famous, what's his name? The famous gypsy Django Reinhardt, the wonderful Hot Tub of Paris group. You know, Django Reinhardt, and you had Stefan Grappelli, and a few more of them. They were all he was famous, and Django Reinhardt. And then when he died, there was this famous guitarist as well. You could look him up there and you get some of his music. Birelli Legrand was his name. He was supposed to be the incarnation of your man. I saw him playing in concert, Birelli Legrand, and he had only 4 fingers in one hand, but he was just, his music is just incredible. You know, just a story. But anyway, we're enjoying ourselves. And all the information at the bottom of the screen, if you want to email us or phone us for anything, feel free to do so. All the programs are found on our YouTube channel, nearmedia.tv. We're here every Thursday night for your entertainment. And let me see. So, where are we going next, May? What's the name of the region in France again for all the people who might want to come with us?
Sainte Marie de la Mer.
Huh? What's the name of it?
The Mer is by the river, isn't it? The Mer is the river.
It's Sainte Marie de la Mer.
There you are. You all heard it here first. Sainte Marie de la Mer. La Mer. So that was Charles Trenet. Do you remember the song by Charles Trenet? La Mer. La Mer. It's made famous by Bobby Darin.
Morgan, have you heard of Toulouse-Lautrec? Famous artist.
So this is the painter, right?
Painter, yeah.
I've heard the last name, yeah.
Yeah. He wore a top hat, and his body was normal, but his legs were very short. You know, and he suffers, I said, from this brittle bone disease, and his legs were very short, and he used to waddle along. I think there were 2 films made on him. You know, his life story one, and you know about his involvement in Paris in the, what did I call it again? What's the name of it again?
Moulin Rouge, yeah.
You know, these paintings, fabulous, big sketches of all the artists that used to be there, you know. But they're all in this city now called Albert in the south of France.
I'd say, Morgan, if you're ever going to go to any other country besides Ireland and America, you should go to France. It's just
to see in France.
Amazing. No matter where you go, it's amazing. Buildings, architecture, culture.
History. Oh, yeah, lots of history.
Yeah, we'll take a famous comedian here on this side of the Atlantic, so to speak. Dick Emery, one of my favorites.
Human nature being what it is, we're all a compound of good and bad. I suppose at one time or another we've all had a stab in the back, which has temporarily made us lose faith in our fellow human beings. On the other hand, an unexpected act of kindness can quickly restore that. I'm here today to ask people for their views on the two faces of man. Excuse me, sir?
Hello.
Tell me, do you believe that man has two faces?
No, I don't.
Why not?
Well, of course, if he had, you wouldn't be using that one, would you? You're ugly.
Excuse me, madam.
Miss.
Oh, miss. May I ask, do you consider that man is a mixture of good and evil?
Oh, I think men are dreadful. I was having a bath the other day and I found the window cleaner looking at me with his lecherous eyes. He wanted me to let him in, but I couldn't.
Oh, of course you couldn't.
No, the blasted window was stuck. Are you married?
Well, as a matter of fact, madam, I...
Oh, good.
No,
Well, look, I'm
no,
looking for an
no,
husband.
no, please, madam! Excuse me, sir.
Oh, yes, I was.
Tell me, can you recall anyone ever doing you an unexpected good turn?
Oh, yes, indeed. My dear old dad did. He married a 19-year-old wife, upped off and left her the lot.
That doesn't sound like a good turn to me.
Oh, we're not complaining, are we, Mummy? Come along, darling.
Excuse me, sir.
Oh, hello, honky tonks. How are you? Nice to see you.
Thank you. Tell me, sir, has anyone ever pulled a dirty trick on you?
Oh, yes. Rupert, my next-door neighbour, did, only last week. Fixed me up with a blind date.
What happened?
A girl turned up. Oh, I was livid. Livid I was I? I was.
Did.
See you.
Excuse me, miss?
Oh, hello.
No, here's a charming young lady.
Thank you.
I'd like to ask you, miss, do you believe that man is a mixture of good and bad?
Well, I can only say my fiancé is good all through. Even in business, he's scrupulously honest.
In other words, he'd never tried to put one across you. Well, I mean, he wouldn't do you even when you had your back to the door.
Oh, you are awful. But I like you.
Well, there you are. There's bad in the best of us and good in the worst of us. But everyone accepts the dual nature of man.
Food for thought there, guys. That was the wonderful Dick Emery. A lot of his stuff can be found on YouTube. You know, Dick Emery did all the parts. I think he was. I think it's comedy that may not be kosher today, I suppose, for some sensitive people. And that's in Morgan, another one for your bank, Dick Emery. You know, and he was. Do you remember him, Guy? Do you remember him? No. Back in the 70s.
I saw him in the Savoy.
Yeah?
It is about 1976.
Yeah.
77, yeah. You're funny at times, but he used to overact sometimes then, you know. Anyway.
Yeah, Dick Emery and you had all those people back in the 70s, 60s and 70s. Yeah,
More than Benny Hill
Benny
generation.
Hill, yeah. Benny Hill, yeah. Yeah, the Benny Hills.
He's definitely not kosher at all.
Oh, God, Benny Hill was way ahead of his time.
He was reputed to have been very mean, Benny Hill. He left thousands when he died. The amount of money that he left. He didn't spend any money over all the years, what he was doing. And people with him were very badly paid. But he left a lot of money, you know.
Who did he leave it to? His wife?
You what?
Who did he leave his money to?
I don't think he was ever married. No, you're joking. He was never married.
No.
When you just take a look, you really know why. You know?
Guys, they've come to the end of another show here on the panel on media.tv. So from Guy Jones, from Morgan Baker, from Tony Browne and myself, till we meet again next Thursday at Lacuna Bay. Have a great week, lads, and enjoy the weather, as we always talk about the weather. Guy, you must be used to talking about the weather in Ireland anyway, you know?
Love it.
So until we see you again next Thursday night, take care and have a good week.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
This is Rare Media. To whom it concerns,
Welcome to the panel.